Howdy folks, 138 MMA here. We're going to break down UFC Fight Night, Kansas City. We're going to start with the prelims. We're going to work all the way up to the main event of the evening. We'll kind of go over each matchup, give you an analysis of the fight, pick, prediction, the works. You're also going to maybe get a couple of props that I like in there. I'll throw those in. As well as there's one matchup, at least one, where I'm going to play both sides and I'll tell you how we're going to do it. But that's how we're going to do this one. Real quick, you can find me on Twitter at 138MMA, Tapology, same name, and also, you can subscribe to my Patreon if you're so inclined to do so. Patreon.com/138MMA. You'll get access to the Patreon parlay, sometimes a couple of them. You're going to get access to all of my notes in detail, not just what I see on the board, but if I write out extra that just doesn't fit on the board or I don't deem needs to go on the board for the video, you get access to that as well. Also, you can get access to all my picks with confidence ratings, as well as a whole bunch of other neato things, depending on the tier you pick. There's one for every financial level over there, whether you want to just support the channel with a few bucks a month, or you want access to most everything for $9.99, or you want the works. And the works is I'll break down a fight for you, whatever fight you want, whether it's a fight you're in, a fight your buddy's in, a fight for KSW, LFA, Invicta, whatever. That option is there as well for a few more dollars. So let me know if you have any questions about that in the comments. I'll gladly answer it. Otherwise, go over to patreon.com/138MMA and find me there. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get down to the nitty-gritty of this fight card right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, 138 MMA proudly brings to you the hottest picks in the world!
We have a matchup in the women's bantamweight division, and typically I'm pretty good at predicting women's MMA. This is a tough one to predict, and I'm going to tell you why. We have Joselyne Edwards. She's coming in 3-2 in her last 5, taking on Lucie Pudilova, 4-1 in her last 5. Now, Pudilova back in the UFC after being out a while back. She has changed up her game a little bit. She has improved in her time away. She did get quite a few wins outside of the UFC. But, back in the UFC, got one win under her belt. Here we go. Now she's taking on Joselyne Edwards, who's been in the UFC for a little bit now. Kind of got her feet wet, whatever. She's primarily a striker, though. So for Joselyne Edwards, it's the good Muay Thai that she's got. She's going to have her volume, her kicks at range. Basically, if she can keep the fight at distance, that's where Joselyne Edwards wants this, and that's going to be her best path to victory. Keep it at distance, use that striking. Now, for Pudilova, she has decent striking of her own, but she needs to get in a little bit closer. She wants to throw those big power shots with the hands typically, and a lot of times she ends up finding herself in a brawl, which could be good, could be bad. In this matchup, it'll be interesting, and I don't know who the brawl will favor, because Pudilova, yeah, she hits pretty hard, but so does Edwards, and she's also got the credentialed Muay Thai there, as opposed to Pudilova, who's just kind of going to throw big hands. Let's put it that way. Here's the deciding factor for me, though, and I could totally be off on this fight, but here's what's got me leaning one way. Pudilova seems to have improved her wrestling. Before she was away, her wrestling wasn't very good. She seems to have improved it a little bit. It is decent, but once she gets on top of you, that ground and pound is nasty. So I do think that the ground and pound is going to come into play over Joselyne Edwards, who has so-so takedown defense, but can be held down. If Pudilova gets on top of Edwards, I think she can do some serious damage and be able to land some shots. Now, I do think this goes to decision. I don't think Edwards is getting put out by those shots, but I do think that in this matchup, Pudilova is going to be able to get her to the ground at least at some point. So I'm going to take Pudilova here. I like the over. It is a little bit chalky, but I do like the over. I think we can get this fight to go to decision, and I think Pudilova is going to get it done. 2 out of 3 rounds probably. Edwards is going to keep it on the feet maybe in the first, second, and third. Pudilova is going to be able to land those takedowns even if they're partway through the round and land the ground and pound. That's where I'm leaning. Let me know what you guys think. I could be totally off, not mega confident in this one, but also in the bantamweight division here. We have Aaron Phillips taking on Gaston Balanos. For Aaron Phillips, he's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Those wins are outside of the UFC. He does have a 4-fight stint outside the UFC where he got a bunch of wins. Before that, he was in the UFC prior. So there's that. Did not do so well in the UFC. Now for Balanos, he is 3-2 in his last 5. I believe all of his fights have taken place in Bellator. He also has a, somewhat lengthy Muay Thai record as well. So there is that. To break this down, Aaron Phillips, he's been out for almost 3 years, just short of 3 years. So kind of a red flag for me. But he does have powerful striking, decent grappling. He prefers to be a striker, though. He's going to throw some heavy shots. Now, on the other side, we have solid Muay Thai out of Balanos. He tends to get it done with his striking, but he lacks in the submission defense department because when he loses, it tends to be from submission defense, whether that be a triangle or a guillotine or whatever. He's been caught in a couple of submissions while he's been doing okay at times, and then gets caught in a submission. I believe he lost a split decision in one of his 3 losses, but 2 of those are by submission. So just seems to get caught in stuff. Other than that, though, diverse toolbox, very well equipped in the striking department. He hits very hard. I like the under in this matchup, I do believe, or fight doesn't go the distance. I don't know what the under is, whether it's 1.5 or 2.5. I like the under 2.5. I think somebody's putting somebody out here, and I do lean Balanos, but I think I like the under just a little bit better because somebody's going to be able to get it done, I do think. I don't really foresee Balanos going to decision in this matchup with a win. I think he's going to get the knockout over Phillips, or Phillips is able to use his grappling, get the submission, or even knock out Balanos with those power shots. So for me, picks Balanos. I think I like the under better than the pick, though, if it's under 2.5 or fight doesn't go the distance. Let me know where you're sitting, and I'll see you in the next fight. Strawweight matchup. We have Denise Gomes taking on Bruna Brasil. For Brasil, she was 5-0 in her last 5, 4-1 for Gomes. The height and reach discrepancy here is noticeable. We have a 5'6", 66-inch reach for Brasil and 5'2", 63-inch reach for Gomes. Now, both ladies are similar in what they want to do. They're typically strikers with grappling in their back pockets. Now, for Gomes, good striking, a lot of power, and very heavy kicks. That's what she's going to go to in her striking. For the Brasil side, for her striking, she has a Muay Thai background, very solid Muay Thai, large toolbox, a lot of different options from there. Good volume, and she works the body very well. I do like that with the taller, longer fighter, working teeps up the middle to hit the body, things like that. Now, in the grappling, we're going to go ahead and break that down quick. Both are pretty decent, but I think they're not the same level of decent. Brasil is probably just a little bit better in the grappling, kind of the way she is in the striking. However, the forward pressure and durability of Gomes could make this fight very interesting because strong forward pressure with a durable opponent is very tough to combat, especially when you're coming at her with everything you got, trying to keep her at bay, hit her with those long limbs, keep her back, and she just keeps coming forward. That can overwhelm you. It can wear on you in over the course of a 15-minute matchup. So there is that to look forward to for people that are on the Gomes side. Now, one thing that I do like is if it does get in close, Brasil's got a good tie clinch, and I think a lot of the fact that she's so tall can put that weight down on her opponent and then snap those knees up. I know you probably can't see what I just did, but put that knee right up under the chin, hit the face of Gomes from the tie clinch. I do think that is going to play into effect here, and she does have nice trip takedowns as well. So if the pressure of Gomes is getting a little bit too much, the trips are an option. Overall, I think that Brasil just has more tools in the toolbox. She has just more weapons in the arsenal. The pressure and durability of Gomes could pose trouble here, but I feel pretty good about Brasil. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the next. At lightweight, we have Daniel Zellhuber coming off of his first loss in his entire career to Trey Ogden. He's now 4-1 in his last 5 fights, 12-1 on the career. He's taking on Lando Vannata, who hasn't had as good of a 5 in. He's 2-3 in his last 5. But he's fought a much higher level of competition than Zellhuber. Zellhuber is the much taller and longer fighter, 6'1" with a 77-inch reach, as opposed to the 5'9", 71-inch reach of Vannata. That is going to be important because Zellhuber uses his range very well. He has good striking, uses that range very well, and he also has a nice head kick. And if you're 6'1" and you're trying to head kick somebody who's 5'9", well, guess what? That head kick's a lot lower, takes a lot less effort. So I do think that's going to play into the favor of Daniel Zellhuber being the much taller and longer fighter. And he's got crisp combinations when he throws his punches and kicks as well, so that's always nice. He does have solid takedown defense if he needs to stuff the wrestling of Vannata, because Vannata does have decent wrestling in his back pocket if he needs that. He does typically prefer to strike, but he has the wrestling as an option. We'll address this one here in just a moment. Let's go ahead and take on the striking of Vannata. He's going to come out fast. He's going to come out hard and electric. He is going to use his striking in a very wild manner. He's going to use a lot of spins, a lot of this, that, and the other, but he's got a wide variety of kicks, and that's something I do like. Throws the front kick. Not enough fighters use the front kick. Spinning back kicks, whatever. He's going to mix in the different styles of kicks, not just the traditional roundhouse kick that you see a lot of fighters throw. So for me, that is a big positive, but is he going to be able to do that against a guy that's that much taller than him? That is going to be yet to be determined. The biggest red flag in this matchup, and I think is why the odds are so close, Daniel Zellhuber's last performance. Had that not happened, Zellhuber would have been a minus 500 favorite. But that last performance did happen against Trey Ogden, where he did not look very good at all. I still am going to take Daniel Zellhuber here, and let me tell you why. I think it's simply because I'm going to chalk it up to the octagon jitters, his first time into the UFC, fighting a better level of competition, but on a bigger stage. And I think he just kind of froze up because he didn't really do much. He didn't look the same way that he had looked in his previous matchups. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But if he craps the bed here and does not put on a good performance against Vannata, I'm going to have to start fading Zellhuber pretty hard. And I think most of you will agree with me on that. But Vannata's no slouch. I think he will make it a close fight. I think he's going to be able to, come in there, use his wrestling when he needs to, get the kicks going, make it a fun fight at least for as long as it lasts. I am going to pick Zellhuber, though. I think that last performance might have just been a one-off, and I think we're going to see him do much better from here on out. So that's where I'm at. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Strawweight matchup next. We have Piera Rodriguez taking on Gillian Robertson. Robertson is 2-3 in her last 5 fights, and that number is a bit misleading because she has a very high level of competition in her career. 5-0 for Rodriguez, which that number can be misleading as well because the level of competition is much lower. She does have a couple of decent wins on the regional scene, but nowhere near the level of competition of Robertson. Now we're just going to see if the skills that she's shown against the lower level competition translate against someone that's fought the better level of competition and tends to only lose to the higher level fighters in the UFC. In this one here, we have the slick Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu style of Gillian Robertson coming back down to 115 to strawweight. She is typically a flyweight. She has fought at 115 in the past, I do believe, but she's typically a flyweight. But anyway, slick Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's always looking for the submissions, and her transitions are very, very impressive once she gets that fight to the mat. Especially if she can get the fight down to the mat on her own fruition. If she can make the fight go down to the mat because she gets the takedown, she's going to do a lot better. And she does have decent wrestling to do so. But the problem is, on the other side, Rodriguez has decent wrestling in her own right. She has good takedowns, which probably are not the best idea to use so much in this one. But she has good takedown defense. Especially because when Rodriguez takes an opponent down, she does struggle with the control. Oftentimes she'll let her opponent back up, or in this case, possibly let Robertson reverse the position. So if she lets her reverse the position, Robertson's going to have a serious advantage once she can get control of Rodriguez on the mat. Now, the striking of Robertson is much to be desired. It's average. It's not terrible, but it's not good by any means. So the striking is laxed. Not her best asset there. But she does have great cardio. She's very durable. And like I said, that higher level of competition does play a role. Now, on the feet for Rodriguez, she's got the pretty good advantage in the striking. She does have decent striking, good boxing combination. She'll throw her hands more than anything. She will throw the kicks in every now and then, but the combinations with the hands, the kicks are typically standalone. Now, for the volume, that's what I'm saying is the combinations with the hands, that's the volume. The kicks, they're single kick, whatever. The volume comes with those striking combos, 4, 5, 6 punches at a time. Sometimes it's just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's okay. She can put the volume out there. But she does get her hands lower as the fight goes on, like most people do. But instead of keeping up here, they start to get down here. Now, she could get caught by Robertson with a shot, but the thing is she doesn't have to worry too much about the striking here. So I don't think that's going to be a big issue for her. In this matchup, before I give you my pick for the fight, I want to say this is the matchup that I mentioned in the opening, in the intro, that you want to play both sides, at least in my opinion. If you, on the right sports book, you can get Piera Rodriguez at plus money right now. You might be able to get her more plus money later. But you can also get Robertson by submission or even Robertson inside the distance at plus money as well. I do think if Robertson wins, it's going to be by a finish. Because if she gets the win, it's likely a submission, or technically she could probably get a TKO on the mat. I think she's had one in her career. But I do think the submission is her best path to victory. I think what is it, 8 or 9 of her wins? I think it's 8 of her wins are by submission. So it's a pretty good outcome for her in terms of probability. So I'm taking the submission for Robertson or either the decision / TKO on the Rodriguez side. So I'm going to play Rodriguez money line and I'm going to play Robertson by submission, both at plus money because Robertson's a slight favorite. With that, you can either way you win, and you should be able to take a few bucks profit. The only way we lose is if Robertson if you play her inside the distance and you can get that plus money, play that one. But if you take a submission, the only way we lose is if Robertson wins a decision or gets a knockout. I don't see that being the case. I could be wrong and look like a total clown. If so, if I'm totally wrong and neither of those happen, come back to this video, drop a clown face in the comments and tell me I'm a doofus. It's okay. I don't mind. But that's where I see this being. For my pick, I'm going to take Robertson. I think she's going to get the submission, but it's this slightest lean. But I do have to make a pick because that's what this channel is about. So I'm making the pick. But yeah, like I said, play both sides if you can. I'll see you in the next one. Bear with me a little bit on this one. This is a tough matchup to break down. We find ourselves in the light heavyweight division with a couple of fighters, both 3-2 in their last 5, but towards the tail end of their career. We have Zak Cummings, who's 38 years old, taking on Ed Herman at 42 years old. Both guys are, coming off of some longer layoffs. Neither guy is really super active at this point in their career. Probably shouldn't be. I mean, they're getting up there in age. But neither guy quite looks like they're in their prime anymore, and that's to be expected. So for Zak Cummings, decent wrestling, decent striking. The leg kicks are good, but he a lot of times throws a lot of single shots, doesn't really put things together in combination. For Ed Herman, decent grappling. He's that Kimura that he locked up on Mike Rodriguez after he also, got dropped by a body shot and then made it look like a nut kick. But hey, good on him for that. Veteran savvy right there. You know what I mean? But then also he's got some decent striking as well. This is so tough. Please don't bet on this fight. Please don't bet on this fight. I want to pick Ed Herman because I want to, and he did win me money in that Mike Rodriguez fight because I was a complete degenerate and bet on him in that one, which was stupid, but it paid off. But I think Zak Cummings is going to get it done. Not confident at all. At all. If I could put it as 0 confidence, I would. But I'll take Zak Cummings. Let me know who you have. Let's go to the next fight. The most exciting matchup on the card. We have Matheus Nicolau coming in 5-0 in his last 5 fights. He's taking on Brandon Royval, who is 3-2 in his last fight. Now, here's the problem. I'm a big Brandon Royval fan because of the way the guy fights. But I've also picked Matheus Nicolau as my UFC flyweight champion by the end of the year. Now, I understand he isn't getting the title shot next. It's likely going to be Pantoja, but there's still maybe another title fight. And he would need to win here to get that. So we're in a pickle. Let's see how this shakes out. Let's start with the Royval side, because the reason I like him so much is his kill or be killed style. The guy's a blast. He's also the taller, longer fighter here. He's 5'9" with a 70.5-inch reach, as opposed to the 5'6", 66-inch reach of Nicolau. So that wild kill or be killed style is going to be landing on Nicolau most likely before Nicolau can land on Royval. So there's an advantage there for him. He's got very good striking, but it's kind of wild. He has a wide range of attacks, various different things, but it's wild. And the volume's there, the diversity in the attack is there, but he can get caught in these wild exchanges doing whatever the heck he's doing. And when that happens, oftentimes he ends up on the ground. Well, good for him, because he has good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, very slick with the submissions, but he's very much submission over position, which is almost the opposite of Nicolau. Nicolau, solid grappling there. He likes the top control. Once he gets on top, much better to start slowly working for his submissions rather than diving on whatever sort of opens up. He's very much position over submission. Let's look at the striking here for Nicolau. Nicolau, technically sound, and he's going to be picking his shots. He's looking for clean, crisp shots that he can land on his opponent with good openings, but it can lead to being low volume at times. So purely in volume, the favor goes over to Royval. However, in being probably defensively safe, I would say, and also picking their shots better, landing, without wasting a ton of energy, that's definitely going to Nicolau. Now, for Nicolau, he's also got good takedowns as well as good takedown defense. So if the fight goes to the mat, I do believe it's going to be under the choice of Nicolau as opposed to Royval. This matchup's really tough. Real quick, if you've made it this far in this video and you're enjoying yourself, hit like for me. I appreciate it very much. Now, real quick, oh man, I'm going to take Nicolau because I still think he can be the champion by the end of this year if the cards fall into place that way. So if you haven't watched that video, it's on the channel, my 2023 predictions, but I'm going to take Nicolau. I think he's going to get it done simply because he's going to be able to capitalize on a mistake of Royval that he's going to make inevitably, and the way he picks his shots, he's going to be able to find that opening, catch Royval with something, get on top, start working his game. I also like the under here. The under 2.5. I've already played it. It's a good play. The reason I like it, because, well, Royval's killed but killed. He's not going to let you go to a decision with him if he has any say in this. So he's going to do his darndest to either get you out of there or make you get him out of there. So for me, I like the under 2.5. I think it's a good one. Fight doesn't go to decision. Also okay. I think you can get -110, -105, something like that on the under 2.5. So I do like that a lot. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like the under? Do you agree with the Nicolau pick? Let me know. Love to hear it. Let's see. All right, so a fun one at featherweight here, folks. We have Bill Algeo taking on TJ Brown. Both guys 3-2 in their last 5. There's another one where we have a bit of a height discrepancy. Algeo, 6 foot tall, taking on the 5'9" TJ Brown. But TJ Brown's got a long wingspan for a guy that's 5'9". 73-inch reach, and right across that from we got Algeo with the 73-inch reach as well. So the reach is the same. However, 6 foot tall, he is a taller fighter. That means his punches are coming at a downward angle when he's trying to hit TJ Brown in the face. That does help your punches a lot. Doesn't fatigue the shoulders. Punching up is a lot more tiresome. So I've pointed out in many videos before in the past, but you get the point. Anyway, let's break this one down. So for TJ Brown, good wrestling, particularly his double leg. I do like his double leg, and I like the volume of his takedowns. He's going to come out. He's going to work those takedowns. When he gets on top of you, he's going to try and grapevine your legs to flatten you out so he can start landing his ground and pound. His ground and pound's pretty good. He's got a tight squeeze once he starts looking for a submission as well. So on the mat, TJ Brown's pretty good. Don't get me wrong. He's pretty good, especially when he gets the wrestling going and gets on top. However, his takedown defense is not the best. If he gets put on his back, it's, he does have to work his way back up. It's harder for him. He can reverse position on the bottom, don't get me wrong, but definitely more of an offensive wrestler than a defensive wrestler. Now, he is a very aggressive fighter. He's going to come out hard and quick in the first round. He's powerful striking, but he leaves himself wide open to be countered when he's slinging these big shots on the feet. So, for TJ Brown, a lot of upsides here. Pretty big negative here. When we look over at Bill Algeo, a guy that's probably going to be able to take advantage of this a bit is he has good striking. He's got very good volume. The movement, side to side, laterally, whatever, that's very good. He can work well from either stance, which is going to be a problem for a guy who's kind of a power striker in TJ Brown, who's going to be swinging those big shots. If Algeo is able to switch stance, keep changing up what the looks are on the feet, I do think he's going to be a lot better on the feet. But Algeo can get sucked into a brawl, so you never know what's going to happen there against a power striker. The wrestling for Algeo, it's decent. I think he's going to prefer the striking. So I don't know that he's going to try and mix in his own takedowns, but it's a possibility. But the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu of Algeo is very good. He could look for subs. He can, try to tie you up and reverse position. But he also works back to his feet, and I think that's kind of what his primary goal is going to be once he gets to the mat in this matchup. He's also very durable and has good cardio. The thing that is going to set this fight apart, I do believe, is, real quick, this matchup here, there are a lot of matchups on this card that I am not confident in. This is not one of those. I am very confident in my pick here, and it might come back to bite me, but I'm very confident in my pick here. Bill Algeo is going to be able to do all of this the whole fight. TJ Brown's going to be able to do this in the first round, and he's going to slow down because a guy like Algeo, with the pace that he puts on you, is going to make you have to work extremely hard to be able to keep up what you're doing, especially if he keeps getting back to his feet and just doesn't get tired. TJ Brown's not going to be able to shoot takedowns forever. He's going to start slowing down. He's going to start winging power shots and getting countered, and I think Bill Algeo is going to get this one done. So Bill Algeo is the pick. I don't know how he gets it done yet. I haven't decided if I think TJ Brown's going to be able to hold out. But I do see a late finish for Bill Algeo. Maybe a decision, but I think it's going to be pretty clear. TJ Brown might win the first round, but Bill Algeo is going to look pretty good from there on out. So Bill Algeo is the pick. I feel pretty dang good about it. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next matchup next. It has me really torn. We have Rafa Garcia, 3-2 in his last 5. He's taking on Guida, 3-2 in his last 5. There's a clear age discrepancy here. The 28-year-old in Garcia versus the 41-year-old in Guida. Rafa Garcia, though, he's been around the UFC for a bit now. I think this is, his 7th fight or something like that. So he's been around a little bit. All of his losses did come in the UFC, so he came in undefeated, had some challenges, but he's doing all right. 3-2 in the last 5, like I said. Does have pretty good striking. Powerful, works the body. Nothing super high. He's kind of just good everywhere. He does have good wrestling, solid takedowns, but he can slow as the fight goes on. And he's going up against a guy in Guida who's never going to slow down. The dude just keeps going. Even at 41 years of age, he's got better cardio than just about anybody. He's durable as heck, and he puts a pace on fighters. Here's the problem with all that, though, is he's going against a guy in Garcia who's way younger than him. He's going to start working the body, trying to work his own takedowns in. He's not lost on the ground if he does get taken down. He's going to be able to work back up. It's going to be tough for Guida just to use the pace to win alone. But he does have solid wrestling in his own right. Takedown volume is probably his best asset, but the volume striking is there as well. The striking is not pretty by any means, but it's volume. It's just volume, volume, volume. I want to pick Clay Guida so freaking bad, and I did bet him against Holtzman in the last fight, and I got the win there. It was a close one. I know a lot of people said it was a robbery. I don't think it was a robbery. I think it was a close fight, and the judges went with Guida. But I want to pick Guida, but I can't bring myself to pull the trigger on Guida. I think this fight right here might be the fight where I'm just going to kick my feet up on the coffee table. I'm going to crack open a root beer. I'm going to sit back, and I'm just going to enjoy the ride because this is going to be an interesting matchup. Garcia should probably get the win. He's officially going to be the pick. But I'm rooting for Clay Guida, gosh darn it. And if he wins, I'm going to be freaking happy about it. I'm going to take Garcia, but I want to see Clay Guida get the win here. I know we're all rooting for him. This is like, he's had 60 freaking fights, and he's still going hard. So, anyway, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think Clay Guida's got a chance? I can be swayed. I may. I'll tweet it out, or you'll see it on Tapology if I sway my pick. I could be swayed on this one. So, if you've got a solid argument for Guida, let me know in the comments, please, because I'm looking for any reason I can to pick Clay Guida in this matchup. But for right now, the pick's Garcia. Looking at a fun matchup in the bantamweight division, a division that is very stacked right now. We have Chris Gutierrez coming in 4-0 and 1 draw in his last 5 fights, taking on Pedro Munhoz, who is a bit on the opposite side. He's 1-3 and 1 no contest in his last 5 fights. Not exactly what you want to see, but he's towards the end of his career. The guy's 36 years old. He's taking on a 31-year-old who's been around the block a few times. Both guys with 19 wins. It's just the losses that are a bit different. Munhoz is going to be coming in with a bit of a height and reach disadvantage. He's 5'6" with a 65-inch reach. He's taking on the 5'9", 67-inch reach of Chris Gutierrez. But the forward pressure of Munhoz is very good about kind of negating a height and reach disadvantage. So for Munhoz, he's going to come forward with some solid pressure. He sometimes can get caught chasing his opponent. That's an issue. But I don't think this one's going to be a chasing situation, but it happens sometimes. But he's good in the pocket. So once he closes in that pressure, he's very good in the pocket. However, he's more of a counter striker than anything. So as far as the hands go, he's going to want to get you to throw first, and he's going to try to counter. Not all the time, of course, but that's what he likes to do a lot of the time. But you got a nice striker over on the other side. We got Chris Gutierrez. Good striking. He has nasty leg kicks. We've seen him finish guys with leg kicks. Puts forth good volume, and the power is real, especially with the leg kick. Obviously, he's dropping guys so they can't even walk anymore. But on the other side, Munhoz is known for those leg kicks as well. He's been doing it before Chris Gutierrez even got to the UFC. The leg kicks are there, and I do like the way that Munhoz can snap that leg kick, the kick up to the body after the leg kick has been successful. So he starts hitting the guys with the leg kicks, making them regret that they've ever come to this fight. Now he's getting them to start checking. Well, then guess what happens? Oh, shoot, that's a body kick now. Boom, right there. You can also snap it up to the head, but he's going against a 5'9" fighter in Chris Gutierrez. I don't see a lot of head kicks against a taller fighter. He needs a little shorter guy for that. But both guys are good on the defense of the takedowns. I think the better pace is going to be on the Chris Gutierrez side at this point in their careers. But, good jiu-jitsu for Munhoz. Slick with his front chokes if Gutierrez does shoot a takedown. Realistically, this is probably going to be a striking matchup, so I kind of breezed through some of the grappling stuff. It could happen, but I think it's going to be a striking matchup. For me, I think this comes down to a couple of things. We have one fighter in Chris Gutierrez who's looked really good and continues to look better against a guy in Munhoz who's maybe his best days are just a little bit beyond him. He hasn't looked as good lately. Yes, people said he looked good against O'Malley. I understand. The fight was just getting started. He worked the first round. It was a lot of not a whole lot. And yeah, maybe he won the first round. I don't know. It was close. Maybe he did with the leg kicks. I get that. But either way, it was kind of a slow round. So I'm not going to chalk that up as a big win because I don't think we're going to get that here. I think Chris Gutierrez is going to be able to get it done. I would love to see these two just go back and forth throwing leg kicks at each other and see who craps out first. That'd be exciting for me. Probably not for everybody else, but I would enjoy that. Just 1 for 1, just see how it goes. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'd love to see that, to see who's got the better leg kick as opposed to the other guy's leg. So, I don't know. For me, the pick's Chris Gutierrez. I feel like he's got a good shot. The guy's on the come up. He looked pretty darn good in his last matchup against Frankie Edgar. It's just the way it works. So I'm taking Gutierrez. Let me know what you have, and I'll see you in the next heavyweight matchup. Yes, I said light heavyweight because Tanner Boser is making his light heavyweight debut in the UFC. Now, Ion Cutelaba is on the other side of this matchup. Both guys, kind of a rough 5-on-in. 2-3 for Boser. Again, that was at heavyweight. 1-3 and a draw for Cutelaba. Now, that draw, I believe, was against Dustin Jacoby, where he really won the first round and then just fell off a cliff. Very much so like what Cutelaba does, kind of falls off a cliff after the first round. He's a very fast starter. He's got good wrestling, takedown volume, just spamming takedowns in that first round, trying to get you to the mat. If he gets you to the mat, the ground and pound is there, and that's what he's looking to do. Get you to the mat, work the ground and pound. He does have power in his hands as well, but his cardio fades hard after the first round, and he's basically a glass cannon. We've seen it. If he can't get you out of there right away, he's done. For Boser, decent striking, good with the volume. The power is pretty decent. I assume it's going to hold up pretty well down here at light heavyweight because, former heavyweight. So I assume he's going to have some pretty good power. He's relatively durable, but the thing is, we don't know here. Takedown defense, and he does get held down. So in this one, you're going to get a treat. Now, sometimes my analysis is usually pretty good. Sometimes the picks don't always lead. If you're just betting money line on every pick I make, you're not going to do that well because I do miss picks from time to time. Everybody does. Nobody's 100%. That's just the way it works. But I think if you play the fights correctly, you're going to be able to land on top most of the time. This fight is one where you can play it correctly. I think if you bet Cutelaba to win in round 1, you should be able to get pretty good plus money on that. However, you have to be ready the second that round ends to live bet Tanner Boser at whatever odds there are, because after the first round, Cutelaba is just kind of done. And he's just been that way in all of his matchups. So after that, you got to be able to hit Tanner Boser at whatever odds you can get him to, if nothing else, even if it just breaks you even, cover whatever you bet on Cutelaba in the first round. That's how I see it. I'm going to make a pick. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to make a pick. That's what I do on this channel. But I think that's probably your best bet. You got to be ready to live bet Boser after the first round if it gets there. If it doesn't, just take the winnings from betting Cutelaba round 1 finish. So that's where I lean as far as the bets go. I'm giving out some free bets here, all right? Look at this. I'm getting wild. But for Tanner Boser, I do think he's going to be able to get it done down at light heavyweight. I think he's going to be able to use the size that he's going to have. These guys are going to be about the same size. I think he's going to be able to use the fact that he's used to fighting guys that are much bigger, land some shots, survive that first round, and get Cutelaba out of there. That's where I'm leaning. But I'm not mega confident in this fight either way. But if you want to play it, the way that I said to play is probably your best bet. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think Cutelaba wins a decision? I don't. Do you think he wins in the second or third? I don't. But if you think so, let me know. I bet you can get great odds on Cutelaba third round finish. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next heavyweight matchup here between Dustin Jacoby and Azamat Murzakanov. Real quick, if you're still enjoying this video and you haven't done it yet, go ahead and sneak on down there and hit like for me. I appreciate it very much. And then subscribe to the channel while you're at it if you haven't already. It helps you find my videos. They pop up a little bit more frequently. You can just scroll over to your subscriptions, hit, right there. There's 138 MMA. Whenever my breakdowns come out, my full card breakdowns typically come out on Tuesday. So there you go. But anyway, back to the fight. 5-0 in the last 5 for Murzakanov, 4-1 for Jacoby. I understand a lot of people don't think that he lost his last fight, but we're just going to put it what it is in the official records, and that's where we're at. Now, in this one here, there's a bit of a height and reach disadvantage on the Murzakanov side. He's 5'10 with a 71-inch reach. He's going up against a much taller fighter, 6'3 with a 78-inch reach for Jacoby. Both guys are primarily strikers, as I was saying just a moment ago. The striking of Murzakanov, he's very powerful with fast hands. Got that good striking, and when he hits you, you know it, all right? He's not just going to overwhelm you with volume. Sometimes he's taking a little more time picking his shots, but when he hits, you're going to know. On the other side, we have Jacoby, very high-level kickboxer. The guy competed in Glory, all that good stuff. One of the better kickboxers in the UFC. He's got good volume. He's very technically sound, but the leg kick is something that I think in this matchup is going to help him out a lot. If he can slow the forward pressure of Murzakanov with a leg kick, then use his reach to keep Murzakanov at range as the fight drags on. I do think that helps Jacoby quite a bit. So in the striking, I'm going to give the edge to Jacoby here. But the wrestling, I give the edge to Murzakanov. He's a good wrestler. He has good takedowns, and he'll mix them in with his striking a lot of the time. But when he gets on top of you, the ground and pound is pretty harsh. He can hit you, have you. He will. He picks his spots really well and lands some damaging ground and pound. But on the other side, decent takedown defense for Jacoby. It's improved a lot since his first stint in the UFC, where taking him down was the obvious path to victory. He's looked a lot better ever since coming back to the UFC, and I do think that takedown defense is going to hold up at least some of the time in this matchup here. So for me in this one, I'm going to take Dustin Jacoby. I think he's going to be able to use the takedown defense that he has at a good range. I think he's going to be able to, stop the takedown with that, as well as work those leg kicks, get Murzakanov kind of stationary, and start picking him apart at range. I do think he probably gets the decision, maybe a late finish, but I'm leaning the Jacoby side. This is a close one, though. Let me know what you guys have, and I could probably be swayed either way, but I'm still leaning Jacoby as of right now. So let me know what you got, and I'll see you in the next fight. We are the co-main event of the evening. We have a featherweight matchup between Billy Quarantillo and Edson Barboza. For Barboza, he is 2-3 in his last 5. A bit of a rough patch in the last 5 fights. 3-2 for Quarantillo, but the level of competition is a bit different. Edson Barboza has fought the best of the best in the UFC. Billy Quarantillo is working his way up there, but he's just not quite there yet. For this one, though, we do have a bit of an age discrepancy, 37 as opposed to 34. And realistically, they're pretty close in age, but that tipping point is somewhere between 34 and 37, because when you see somebody at the featherweight division at 37, they don't usually look their best, and 34 is still kind of at the edge where they could be in their prime, but towards the end of that prime. It's like the last year of your potential prime at the featherweight division, that is. Now, the height and reach, slight difference in the height, 5'10 to 5'11, but a 5-inch reach for Edson Barboza. He's 75 inches as opposed to 70 inches on the Quarantillo side. This one's an interesting matchup, though, because both guys do kind of like to strike. Billy Quarantillo, he's very much a volume striker. He's putting forth a lot of volume. That's what he likes to do. Just come forward with a high pace and just use those strikes just in numbers, vast amounts of numbers to kind of overwhelm opponents. Kind of take one on the chin as he goes in sometimes, but guess what? He can usually handle it. But he's coming with the volume. He does have decent wrestling if he needs to use it. And in this matchup, it might be a smart move to get a couple of takedowns over a guy in Edson Barboza who's a very good grappler, or very good striker, sorry. So if he can get the grappling going, get the wrestling going, he can work that ground and pound in pretty well. And the ground and pound that Billy Q has is volume-based, but he's putting down some good shots. And the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for him is good. He's secure positionally, kind of holds guys where he needs them to be, and he can look for subs if he has to. But typically, the guy's just going to want to put forward volume and pressure. That's what he needs to do to beat most opponents. And he's fighting a guy in Edson Barboza who seems to have slowed just a bit. He hasn't quite been himself as of lately. He does have decent jiu-jitsu if it does get to the mat, but we all know where his best asset in a fight is. That's his high-level striking. He has excellent kicks. And realistically, those kicks are so freaking powerful. If he connects with a head kick, Billy Q's going to sleep. If he connects with a body kick, it kind of depends on the follow-up. Because a body kick, I don't know how many of you guys have ever competed or even done any sparring or anything like that. You can get hit with a body kick and just be absolutely toast. But it goes away, and if you can just kind of maintain any sort of, ability to fend for yourself while you're catching your breath, it goes away, and the next thing you know, you're all right. Now, they get hit with a couple of those, and it stops going away so easy. Unless it's a liver shot. If it's a liver shot, you're basically paralyzed for a temporary amount of time, and you're just done. You get in the fetal position, you can't move. But if he lands a powerful body kick, it depends on how he follows up with Billy Q. And if Billy Q is able to intelligently defend himself long enough to then be able to, on the ground, while Edson Barboza is trying to get the finish, if he's able to kind of hold it to the mat there, he can probably save himself in the round. So I do think that the kicks are obviously the best weapon for Barboza, but he has good boxing combinations as well. He makes the kicks and punches when he needs to. But I think if he lands a head kick, it's over. So I do like that on the Barboza side. But overall, I think Billy Q is going to be able to just last it out. I think he's going to be able to get through the first round, get through the second round, and start to land some shots. The second round is going to be very contentious. We're not going to really know who won that one. Some judges are going to think Billy Q. Some are going to think Edson Barboza. In the third round, I think it's going to go to Billy Q. I think it's going to be a close fight. Now, Does somebody get the finish? Like I said, Barboza could get the knockout. Billy Q could definitely get a late finish with just overwhelmed with the volume, maybe a submission on the ground. I'm going to lean Billy Q. I'm gonna side with youth. I'm going to side with the guy that hasn't just looked like he's missing a step in his last few fights. But I wouldn't blame anybody for picking Barboza here. A lot of value in the dog. A guy that can put your lights out with any kick that he lands. His punches are good too, don't get me wrong. But man, if that guy kicks you. So I'm probably going to leave this one entirely off my slate, let's be honest. But I do like Billy Q just the tiniest bit. So that's what I'm taking. Let me know what you guys think. And we've got a fire main event coming up. It's going to be fun. Let me know what you got in that one as well. And I'll see you next time. Folks, we have made it to the main event of the evening. And if you haven't already, like this video. This is your last reminder. I appreciate it very much. Subscribe to the channel so you can find all of my videos. It'll be right there in your subscriptions tab, and it'll help me reach that ever elusive 1,000 subscriber mark, which I'm trying desperately to reach. Thank you so much. And lastly, if you have not checked it out already, I did a deep dive into this fight, broke down some keys to victory for either fighter. Both guys have substantial paths to victory. I'll link it. It'll be at the end screen of this video. You may have already seen it. I don't know when I'll have it pop up. But either way, in this matchup here, there are some things I like about both guys. The striking is solid on both sides. The biggest thing that leans me one way or the other is just the fact that it's a 5-round matchup, and a guy like Max Holloway just is so hard to get out of there, so hard to beat over 5 rounds. So my lean right now is Max Holloway. He's my pick for the fight, but like I said, this matchup here, like I said in the big breakdown, the full breakdown, this matchup is the one where you kick your feet up on the coffee table, you crack open a couple of cold root beers, and you just have yourself a good time. This matchup, I love it. It's going to be so much fun to watch, but I don't recommend betting it. But let me know who you have in the comments. I appreciate you all taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you next week.